Jeff Kennett has somersaulted into Labor's position, while Labor is, from the safety of opposition, defending local democracy, which it was attacking when in office. No wonder a growing number of voters and ratepayers are distrustful of politicians. But the tendency to ignore such blatant hypocrisy, while understandable, is a surefire way to lose your freedoms and your right to make your own local decisions on a local basis. That's what this video is about. It will give you a picture of the long-term, unfolding program to neutralise local government and in the process to radically change Australia's constitution without your consent. So let's start at the beginning. Local government is the start of good government. Local government in Australia comes from the same origins as in Britain. In fact, right back 1,000 years to the time of King Alfred. The word shire is woven into the history of Britain and is still evident in the names of the famous counties Hampshire, Devonshire, Yorkshire and so on. National governments looked after national issues like defence, foreign policy and the coinage, but the idea that local communities should be planned and regulated by remote people who had no idea of local issues or peculiarities would have been regarded as absurd and laughable. Given local people resources and responsibility, and they can do very much better than central planners, however many qualifications they may have. Look at the English village, still the most attractive and peaceful part of Britain today. When it was built, there were no town plans, zones or shire engineers. The bend in the river, the slope of the hill, the most comfortable place for the village green and the local inn. These were things local people worked out to suit themselves. The result was attractive and charming, a far cry from the council estate of modern times with its dreary monotony. Australia's local councils were all important in the nation's early period. They were thriving long before the existence of Canberra, and it's safe to say that if Canberra disappeared in an earthquake, there would be not a few sighs of relief mingled with those of regret. Life would go on, there would be far less forms to fill in and licences to pay, and local communities would get on with life quite capable of working out the sort of results they desired. Local government was working in Australia before the creation of the states, which in turn preceded the establishment of the Commonwealth government. Few people know that it was a local government delegation to London in 1856 which pressed for the New South Wales States Constitution Act. There's no mention of local government in the Constitution of Australia, and the reason is clear. Local government had nothing to do with Canberra, and each state had a Local Government Act which established the rules and guidelines within which local councils operated. State governments only intervened when local disputes or evidence of corruption appeared. In each Local Government Act, there was a series of rights and safeguards for the ratepayers, most of which have quietly disappeared. The people who wrote Australia's constitution hoped they had successfully worked out a formula which would prevent the national government centralising power and interfering in the business which belonged to the states and local government. The constitution they devised is certainly one of the best in the world, and it's not legally supposed to be changed without a referendum of the Australian people. It has been the subject of almost ceaseless attack from the centralisers over the 90-odd years since it was accepted by Australians, and local government is the latest tool being used to deliver all power in Australia into one central government's hands. This plan is much easier in 1994 because of the majority of young Australians have been taught little or nothing about their own constitution and are therefore powerless to understand what is happening. There are about 900 local and municipal councils in Australia, and if you work on an average council of 10, that means something over 9,000 Australian men and women serving in local government. Like their counterparts at state and federal level, they are ordinary Australians, many with outstanding talents. Unlike state and federal politicians, however, the majority of councillors give their services without pay. Only in the very big local government centres can salaried councillors and party politics be found. For the majority of councillors, their investment is not in a career, but a service. Likewise, the majority of clerks, engineers and staff are professionals who are as competent or more so than the bureaucrats and public servants at state and federal level. Oh yes, there are the Sir Humphrey Applebys, and in some areas non-technical councillors are apt to leave the decision-making in the hands of the professionals. But this tendency is nothing like as bad in the big governments as in the big governments, where executive government has almost eliminated true parliamentary democracy. This country is increasingly run by faceless and remote government departments, which believe they are there to tell the people what to do, rather than carry out what the people want. How has it happened? Well, there was one chink which the Constitution did not adequately cover in 1901, when it came into being. One of the fathers of federation, Alfred Deakin, spelled it out clearly in 1903.